Now we have this picture in Genesis of chapter 1. God creates human beings. He creates the whole world, puts us in it, and he gives us this commission to go and work to bring forth the potential of his creation. And then in chapter 2, he gives Adam this specific work to take care of the garden. The Lord God placed the man in the Garden of Eden to tend and watch over it. But then things start to go south in chapter 3, because in chapter 3, Adam and Eve rebelled against God, and their act of rebellion against God changed everything. It brought sin into the world, and the entrance of sin into the world marred the human experience of work. We see that in Genesis chapter 3, starting in verse 17. God says to Adam,
"Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you'll eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you'll eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground."
He says, now there's going to be a curse that falls on the whole earth. In other words, the creation doesn't work the way that God originally made it to work. And God says to Adam, now toil is going to be painful, that you're going to be able to get your food, but it's going to cost you something. You're going to have to sweat and work hard to do it. He says thorns and thistles are going to grow up now in the world that I made. And so this is when work became toil. And now it's hard and it's difficult and it takes obstacles to get where we're going in work. So work becomes marred by the entrance of sin into the world. It doesn't always work the way it's supposed to work. But I want you to understand that God's original design for work didn't change. That work still has dignity. Work still is honorable. Because when we work, we're still expressing the image of God. We're reflecting the creativity of God and the effort that God makes. And we're acting as his representatives in the world. And when we work, we're still drawing forth the destiny and the future of the world God made. Now, some of you young people, you're in high school right now, or you're in college, or you're maybe should be in college, but you're not. If you're in school, that's your work right now. That's your job. And so go for it and do well at it. But I know some of you are thinking like, man, you don't want to really grow up because you don't want to really face the challenges of the working world. And so, you're sitting around playing a lot of video games all day long. You're sleeping in late. You work just a few hours, just enough to put gas in the car to do things you want to do. I just want to tell you, you're missing out on what God has created you for. You're missing out on an opportunity to make an impact in the world. So I want to encourage you to finish school and finish strong and go out and find a job and search for a career that unlocks the potential of the gifts and the abilities that God has put into you. And so it's important to embrace this idea, even though the world is fallen, that we win at work because work has always been part of God's purpose and always part of God's plan, and work is a good thing.